All right, let's say you don't want to use the hoop and you want to do it freestyle or free form. So the same mechanics kind of are the same. You're going to do the same kind of counting. You're going to go up all the way and then back down. Like once you do one slant, you're going to finish off and X them off. The only difference is that instead of going like in and pulling your thread and then coming back up and pulling your thread, you're going to do that all in one motion. So to reference back our design, I am now on this part of the design and I'm on this second row over here. So I'm going to go up 4 and then come back down 4. So I'm already kind of situated where I'm on this bottom left-hand corner. So in order for you, like originally with the hoop, we were going in this way, right? Going cross, and then we would come back out from here. But instead, you're gonna do both of those things in one movement. So you're gonna use, you're gonna have your finger at the back, so it'll be kind of over here, and you're gonna go in here, and then twist it and come out this way. All right, and you can use your finger to kind of help you guide from the back. And then when you come out, it'll automatically do the slant and you'll already be on this side of the fabric. So you're gonna do the same thing where you're gonna go in across, but then come out at the same time, okay? And you're gonna do that for 4 X's. And this can become a really natural movement after you do this a few times. And this fabric is really, like I mentioned before, I think it's really quite thick. But as you kind of work with it, and you're especially without the hoop, it'll become a lot more flimsy or like easier to work with, and it'll become just smoother as a piece of fabric as well. So we've done here 1, 2, 3. So we've got one more. And then you're gonna come back down and do the same thing where you go in and back out all in one motion until you've crossed all of your X's. And then when you get to the bottom, you want to think about where you want to go next. So we still have 2 more rows of 4. So you're going to want to go down. So I would push this to the side and you're going to go in and out in the bottom. And that way you end up in a place where you can then switch it back and go across again and go up and do your 4 stitches. This technique also, it'll become faster. You'll start stitching, you'll be able to do more stitches because you're just doing it in quicker motions. The only thing that I would just warn against, or not warn against, but just something to think about, is you don't wanna, it becomes really easy to start going a little bit too tight because you're gonna be pushing in a lot. So you wanna make sure that you don't do it so much. Maybe I can show you an example. Let me go to the bottom here. And let's do the last row and I'll show you kind of what I mean. When you have it with the hoop, it's just naturally gonna keep all of the tension. So it'll keep all of these stitches like the same level of tension between them, but it's very easy sometimes when you're doing it with just your hand to go too tight or too loose. So you want to make sure, so for example, you don't want it to be too loose because then you'll make sure you like pull all the way, but then you don't want to pull too tight where it then looks a little bit warped. So let's see if I can, because it gets really easy to just like tight, and then in the back it'll kind of create things. But the nice thing about Ida fabric is it's very easy to just like adjust it a little bit so that all the tension is like across, just very uniform. And we just finish it off. Oops. Okay, and this just gets a little bit of practice. The nice thing is the needle itself is quite blunt, so even if you poke yourself in the back, it's not gonna hurt you too bad. And then we'll just finish off this one. And when you turn it over, and also if you can make them too tight, it makes it difficult to finish them off. But if it's not too tight, you can easily thread through some of the stitches that you've already made. Oops. And then just cut it off at the end. And you're practically halfway done, almost there. All right, I'll do a few more stitches, and then we'll kind of look at the final results. I think just one more thing to think about is as you're counting, because it gets really easy to just like, you know, accidentally start too low or too up, like, or too high. Also, I think one of the things that really helps me when I think about looking at design and just counting it properly is look at how the different edges kind of connect with each other. So like this one, this particular X over here, it has, you know, this diagonal on this side, so you know that you're gonna wanna start on this side and go that way. Whereas if you're going from like this leaf to that leaf, you're gonna skip a stitch and you're gonna go over here. So it just takes a little bit of practice and getting used to, but once you get a feel for like how these different stitches kind of connect to each other and you start doing it, you'll have these motifs memorized in no time and you'll just be running through the stitches. So I'll go ahead and finish this and show you the final result, and you'll be done almost basically with your first Tatreez project. So exciting, so excited.